Finishes and factions catching action.
Hi, I'm Rich.
And hey, I'm Adam.
Welcome to this week's episode of
Finishes and Factions SmackDown edition. Available on all your favourite podcast platforms as an Audible.
or here on YouTube, where you get to hang out with us as well. So without further ado, let's crack into SmackDown. We have got an opportunity to sit and discuss this week's SmackDown, which was in Portland, Oregon, and the first one on Netflix as well.
Yeah, and we started off SmackDown with a Raw recap, a rather comprehensive Raw recap.
Yeah.
It took up quite a bit of time. I don't think necessarily we needed to go into that level of detail with Raw to sort of recap what had happened, but creative choices, I suppose.
It could have been worse. We could have had another promo from The Rock.
We could have. That is the one thing that was missing from SmackDown. He could have gone full house and decided not to. We did, however, start the night off with an in-ring Paul Heyman promo.
We did. And as normal, Paul Heyman manages to grab a crowd at the start of an event and really hook them in. And this promo was no different. Especially with the contents of it as well. The celebration of Roman Reigns winning his tribal combat against Solo Sikoa, getting the Ulafala back.
Yeah, I mean, his unequivocal delight at the fact that he no longer has to answer to Solo Sikoa.
I mean, can you blame the guy?
No, not really. Well, it's almost like picking the bad boss based on sort of how they treat their tenure as tribal chief went. I mean, yes, Roman Reigns spent like an unholy amount of days as WWE champion in his initial tenure as tribal chief.
It's just over 1,000, wasn't it?
Something like that, yeah. Solo Sikoa just generally tended to treat everybody that little bit better, but just didn't have the strap count to be able to keep up with his presence.
Yeah, but no, it was nice to see that Heyman brought out Cody Rhodes to basically rub it in his face that Roman was entering the Royal Rumble just to steal his title at WrestleMania.
But it started off at least as it was a very respectful conversation. In fairness, I mean,
it definitely was. But then that's normally Heyman's style.
Not really. My experience of Heyman's style is that he can be quite sort of brass balls about it. He will find those little sensitive spots and just give him a fucking good poke.
He does give him a poke, but he's never over the top with it, and he's never overly disrespectful with it. He's normally he toes a line.
Yeah, fair play. But yeah, as I think you alluded to, we had Roman Reigns. Paul Heyman announced that Roman Reigns intends to enter the Rumble, so we know at least two entrants now for the Royal Rumble, being Roman Reigns and John Cena.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, this was quite an action-packed promo for the beginning of the match, because not only did Cody Rhodes come out, but Kevin Owens interrupts, and
where you get one, you get the other at the moment.
They are very much sort of joined at the hip. It's they are pushing this story to the nth degree, but they've got a ladder match at Rumble. Maybe that will be the end of that little rivalry. And
well, that one's for both titles, isn't it? You've got the Winged Eagle that Kevin Owens is currently running around with, and then you've got the right. So obviously you've got Cody in the ring with Paul Heyman, and then Kevin Owens decides he's coming out. He's got a bit of an issue with the bloodline. He's building heat for his ladder match at Rumble with Cody, and those two just go ham.
I mean, with Kevin Owens on a bloodline crusade and Drew McIntyre on a bloodline crusade, are we heading towards not necessarily a rivalry, but are we heading towards like either a partnership or a faction of some kind?
Suggesting we could end up with Drew and Kevin Owens in a tag team, so to speak.
Potentially.
Could be an interesting perspective of it. It's not one that I personally thought of, but it's definitely an interesting perspective coming up that way.
I mean, it leaves the door wide open for it as far as I'm concerned. But
And it would give you something to start off with, like a 5v5 match somewhere, or quite a big sort of I don't know what you think of. Not necessarily like a battle royale, but you could get quite a high sort of team, sort of
they could end
one
up just,
fall in there.
I was going to say they could end up, depending on how Solo Sikoa returns and what happens with Tonga and Fatu, it could turn into something a little bit more that way, but it's difficult to know how that one would play out. But speaking of Tonga and Fatu, we saw those during this promo as well. They seem to slide in the ring unnoticed to confront Heyman, the wise man.
Got a bit of a thing for him at the moment.
Well, he's out there rubbing it in Solo Sikoa's face, essentially, that, ha, you lost.
They were his bodyguards, I suppose, so they were his enforcers.
But the commentary team made a big thing about saying throughout the night that they are without a master at the moment because of Solo Sikoa's absence. But
he's kind of, since he lost the Ulafala, he's gone off licking his wounds a little bit, hasn't he?
Yeah, he has, and I don't think anybody can really blame him.
No.
But then we saw Jimmy Uso run in, Uso coming in to save the wise man, and then we just had there was loads of people in the ring by the end of that promo.
That was just an all-out brawl.
And Cody coming back to the ring. It just, complete chaos to start SmackDown.
Only people you didn't have in that promo was security. No security at all.
But that's because all the security was backstage for the next promo we saw, which was basically Tonga and Fatu battling against backstage security for everybody's favourite Canadian wrestler at the moment, LA Knight, to come barreling in, boot them out.
He made a remark, and I can't remember what it is off the top of my head. I think it was something like he wasn't using his inside voice, so I kicked him outside as he walked off.
That was precisely what he said. It was,
and I must admit, it made me laugh. I chuckled.
Oh, 100%. It was
such a
pure
great line.
Value. Oh, yeah. But
stuck a big target on his back doing that, though.
Oh, 100%. I mean, it was never going to go any other way but Sunday, really, was it?
No, it was not.
But then we moved into the first match, which was a women's US Championship match, which was Mishin versus Chelsea Green as the current champion, who came.
She was brought out with Piper Niven.
Piper Niven, that's right. Yeah,
looked very security-esque.
Very sort of glam security. Was,
very much so.
In only the way that WWE can honestly do that.
Pretty sure we saw Mae Young wear something very similar, but obviously a different size many times.
Oh, 100%. But yeah, what can we say about it? What can we say about this match? Really, I mean, it's Chelsea Green to me was coming off it. I mean, Chelsea Green in that story, Chelsea Green is taking on a lot of heel characteristics. It's I took a note of the fact that there was a lot of what good old JR used to refer to as chicken shit heel moves. It was a lot of in and out of the ring, a lot of like ducking and diving for opportunity and all that stuff. Whereas Mishin was doing some actually really solid technical wrestling when she could get Chelsea Green to stay in the ring long enough. I mean, I was actually quite impressed with an early on over the top rope submission. I don't know if you would have caught that as well, but
I'm going to be brutally honest with you. I struggled with this one, and not too long into the match, I actually fell asleep. So this is probably one of the few of the actual program that really couldn't get me enough to keep me up. So yeah, no, I definitely I didn't see that one. I was snoozing for that one.
fair enough. I mean, we finished that one with Chelsea Green retaining with a another famous chicken shit heel move, which was gaining some extra leverage with a handful of Mishin's tights, and yeah, that was all she wrote with that one.
Very every which way but loose way of doing it.
Yeah, and I mean, if she is playing a heel character, then we're getting what we pay for, essentially.
Yeah.
Then it was a pre-recorded promo from earlier in the night with SmackDown General Manager Nick Aldis, the Motor City Machine Guns, Pretty Dangerous, and
A-Town Downtown. Yeah.
There was another team there as well, but I'm not. I will be completely honest. My notes do not tell me who they are.
I believe, was it not Legado del Fantasma?
Possibly.
Because they faced off with Pretty Deadly in the next match.
They did, and it was all about the pre-recorded promo was basically just setting up the backstory for the next couple of tag team matches that we see. Which the first one, as you've just mentioned, was Los Garza versus Pretty Deadly. I mean, not a bad match, but it was.
I mean, it started before the bell with a sort of with a brawl in the ring, didn't it? And sort of in and out with a lot of early sort of pinfalls and kickouts. It's quite a high octane start.
It was a very sort of predictable match outcome, though. We got one tag team. Los Garza came out with Electra and Legada del Fantasma, who was running interference on the outside. It went the only way it was ever going to, which was a win for Los Garza.
Yeah.
Then we moved into the third match, which was a men's US title match.
Yeah. Did you notice anything different with the entrance for LA Knight with the US title match?
No, I will be honest. I didn't.
If you get an opportunity,
spot that I missed?
if you get an opportunity, go back. They have actually started trying to rebrand LA Knight in the middle of his run. So when they introduce LA Knight now, he's known as LA Knight. Yeah, and the artwork on the screen that comes up, and with his entrance on the big screens as well, shows him as LA Knight. Yeah.
Oh right, okay. I know that Lillian Garcia, the in-ring announcer, had a bit of fun with LA Knight with her attempt at a yeah.
Yeah, I say that's now how he's introduced to the ring as LA Knight. Yeah.
Fair enough. Okay. I didn't really sort of pick up on that myself.
Go back and have a little look. Tell me if I'm wrong.
Definitely go back and have a look at some stage. But we've LA Knight versus Shinsuke Nakamura for the men's US title. This was a rematch. As LA Knight recently lost this title, but I've got a bias on this one. I will be completely honest. I'm not a huge fan of Shinsuke Nakamura.
I'm not.
Think he's wrestling wise in general. He's pretty good. He's pretty good. I'm not giving where credit's due.
Well, he used to be a jiu-jitsu specialist in MMA before he became a sports entertainer. So the technicality, you can kind of see where he gets it from.
My issue with Nakamura has always been
He's
a
boring.
lack of ability. He's a lack of ability to cut a promo, and yeah, he is. He's dull, and I
Very
just
dull.
can't. I can't say that if I was booking if I were booking his matches, I can't say that I'd be able to justify strongly enough the pushes that he gets.
All the title runs he has.
No, it's
I don't get it personally.
Somebody somewhere sees something that I don't, and
Yeah.
do you know what? Fair play. He's obviously doing something right because he keeps getting all these pushes.
I
But
think,
at
as
the
we
minute,
said
I'm just
earlier,
not seeing it.
it's one of those cases that he was really, really good in other promotions, but he's come to WWE and not really been able to use that same gimmick that he's had elsewhere in the same way, and it's affected his ability to do so.
Yeah,
I think
so.
it's very much he runs that same sort of gimmick. It's not much of a change when he rebrands.
No, this is it. And the minute he's doing some kind of samurai shinobi,
Yeah,
shit
with the
his
face mask.
entrance, the face mask, the face paint, which is a very striking image on its own. Don't get me wrong.
It looks cool.
Yeah, it's not enough to make him interesting.
No,
Um,
he's not Jeff Hardy.
no, definitely not. But yeah, I mean, there was a few spots in this match that I took note of. I thought sort of the back and forth between LA Knight and Nakamura was believable. It was that there wasn't anything that was out of place. We sort of returned to form of Raw rather than NXT, where we had quite a few matches where there were bits and pieces that just weren't believable enough to be true.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the exposed middle turnbuckle that we had partway through the match, the one that just went fly. I don't remember seeing that being loosened. So
it must have just pinged.
Commentary team tried to play it off like it had been loosened earlier in the match, and I don't know if it was just I wasn't paying enough attention, but that thing went. I mean, it went. And
it was funny.
Blew off. At first I thought somebody had lost a boot or something. I will be completely honest. But yeah, we had another run in by Jacob Fatu and Tama Tonga getting a bit of
payback
on LA Knight for.
Which I think we knew was going to happen at some point. Like I said, he painted a target on his back when he threw them out of the building in the first sort of promo at the start of the run.
Yeah, and this just sort of broke down into more and more chaos because we had, I think we had Cody Rhodes and Jimmy Uso come out to try and restore some order.
And then Nick Aldis and a few refs and a few other guys came out, which you had Cody shouting at Nick, "Come on, we're here, they're here, we want to fight, they want to fight, let's fucking fight," pretty much.
So, and that's how we ended up with the main event of the pay per view, main event of the episode. It just sort of naturally evolved from there, I suppose, but.
Which was nice to see. They're bringing back the off-the-cuff main events, and they're working it from that angle. If you remember, sort of 10 years ago, where you'd have like an interference, and then they'd have that match. It was there. It was then. There was no like we're going to wait until this pay-per-view or wait until that pay-per-view. It's we're fighting this week or next week at the latest.
Yeah, this is it. It's a bit of instant gratification, really. But they built a lot of instant heat in this match this match, and tried to build it maybe a little bit too quickly.
But it did work partly. I mean, the crowd in Portland were loving it. There was lots of chants going around that were very positive. Lots of holy shits and this is amazing and this is awesome and all the standard things you get from a wrestling show.
Yeah, this is it. but we had to wait a little bit for the main event to come around. So in the meantime, we were treated to a VT promo of how Tiffany Stratton became women's champion.
Yeah, well, that was after she cashed in her Money in the Bank 11 months after signing with SmackDown.
Yeah.
And, yeah, kind of waited for Naomi and Nia to pretty much have as much fun as they could, and then came in and finished the job.
I mean, how the Money in the Bank contract should be used. Let's face
Definitely.
it, we've had we had a massive run when Money in the Bank was first introduced. God knows how many years ago, where it was always done that way.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, they teased the hell out of the Money in the Bank cash in for Tiffany Stratton. She was carrying that thing around like it was life itself, and nearly cashed it in on several occasions. And yeah,
She played it well,
night
though. It was well
she did.
presented, because anytime you see that suitcase and that suitcase near someone else's match, and you think, well, is that going to be, are we going to get it now? And there's so
Yeah,
many times
it
you
plays
think it's
in-
going to be handed in, and then they go, actually, no, this is mine, I'm keeping this.
Yeah, it plays into the psychology, and we had a few instances where she was running into matches and everything, running into matches with Nia Jackson, and it was a case that she was, oh yeah, no, I'm going to cash it in, I'm going to cash. Oh no, not just yet.
Nope,
Um,
not today.
yeah, not today, good sir. But yeah, I mean, the VT spoke for itself. We
It
know
did.
now, if you didn't catch the SmackDown the week before, which aired
On
for
YouTube.
aired on YouTube for anybody outside of the US, which I've now found is actually on has been added into Netflix. So if you did miss it, you've got the opportunity to go back and watch it. So
Yeah, I found that out a little bit too late as well. I watched the first half of that one, realized thinking it was this week's episode, and I was like, "Whoops, my bad. Better go back and rewatch the proper one."
I did it in the opposite order. It was kind of a case that I finished watching this week's SmackDown for then Netflix to do its normal thing of, oh, we've got something else for you to watch. Thinking it was just a trailer, and then all of a sudden this next episode starts. I was like, what? There's what did I miss? And then I had to go back to realise, oh wait, no, this was the one that aired on YouTube.
Yeah.
But yeah, rolling on. We've got fourth match. Wow, we're at the fourth match already. This was the second of the tag team matches, which was the Motor City Machine Guns, Chris Sabin, Alex Shelley,
And
versus
18 down under, which was yeah.
Austin Theory and Grayson Waller.
Yep.
Previously, as far as I'm concerned, used for comic value more than anything else. But I'm going to be honest, I didn't hate the match.
It wasn't bad, to be fair. It started off with a bit of a push for down under. They were quite dominant, but then after the first sort of like 5 minutes, it seemed to even out.
I think it served as a good reminder to remind everybody that Austin Theory and Grayson Waller are actually professional wrestlers. They're not just Muppets with mouths. It's a case that, well, there can be both, I know, but it's it's a case that no, because Austin Theory and Grayson Waller can actually wrestle.
All right, you got me on that one.
Yeah, so eight town down under, a really solid showing. I mean, they didn't come out of it with the win. I mean, Motor City Machine Guns are an established tag team. They've got a 20-year tenure. Theory and Waller really didn't stand a chance with it. I mean, I remember watching Motor City Machine Guns when they were in TNA and Impact Wrestling.
Yeah.
Slightly different promotion, different presentation, but they were so dominant. And the only thing that I'm a little bit sad for them.
Have they done with them as they do with every other tag team? They pull from other promotions, they give them a little bit of a push, and then just completely destroy them.
Well, no, that's not what I'm sad for them for. They will do that because it's what WWE do. But I'm sad for them, the Motor City Machine Guns, because I feel like they would have had so much more of a push had they made it to WWE sooner.
Yeah.
These guys have been wrestling together for 20 years.
Yeah.
If they'd have got in 10 years ago, even 5 years ago, they'd have had such a run because they were hot shit, and they still are. Don't get me wrong; they are a phenomenal tag team and have fantastic ring presence. But it just, I've just feel like they're not too old to wrestle, but I think they're getting to a point where they may be getting
Not
towards
worth
past
pushing
their prime.
getting the push because they're on the more veteran side.
They'll get a championship reign. Don't get me
Yeah.
wrong. I mean, the previous this match and the previous tag team match were were championship qualifiers. I mean,
Yeah,
again,
so you've got
Motor
the
City
number one
Machine Guns.
contenders, I'm guessing will be next week, which will end up being Motor City Machine Guns and
That's my prediction. I'm thinking. I mean, Los Garza won on the base. They had a solid match, but they won on the basis of outside interference.
Mhm.
Whereas Shelley and Saban, I just think they're going to come out of that with They're going to come out of that with a victory. They're going to go.
I would say so.
They're going to go to Royal Rumble, possibly Elimination Chamber, or
Challenge.
maybe even just a weekly episode. Challenge the tag champs and pick up the straps. It's how that's going to work in my view.
Yeah, no, I can't agree more with you on that one.
Speaking of the tag champs, they were featured straight afterwards in a promo between them and
Pretty Deadly.
And I wasn't fantastically up on the storylines for this, so my understanding of what happened here was that Pretty Deadly seemed to expect like DIY to interfere in their match or sort of guarantee a victory for them.
Something happened last week with Pretty Deadly giving DIY a bit of help, and they were expecting a back scratch back when they went in against for their match, and it didn't come that way, and they were a little bit annoyed with it, which is fair enough, but you shouldn't do a favour to ask for a favour,
No, but I think DIY have come out of this promo looking like the
heel.
They've come out of it looking smart, a damn sight smarter than Pretty Deadly.
Oh yeah. But then if you look at Pretty Deadly's outfits, they don't look particularly smart.
No, but you can't always judge a book by its cover.
You can't.
I think even Apollo Crews sort of cottoned onto the fact that DIY were
scheming something,
pulling their pisser as it goes. It wasn't. Yeah, it's one of them.
Bit of a strange
it's all
promo.
Gonna degrade. It's going to degrade down eventually, but then we're building back into the ring, but not with the next promo.
Right.
We went straight to a promo with an obviously upset Nia Jax and Candice LeRae.
Well, she was pulling Nia Jax's piss on that one, trying to upset the apple cart. So
yeah, I mean, I don't think it would have taken much realistically. What we know of Nia Jax's
temperament,
Nia Jax's personality, she's not one to lose and doesn't like it. I mean, nobody likes to lose, but
Nia a little bit more than most people dislikes losing.
Yeah, Nia Jax is not going to take losing lying down.
No, and definitely not to Tiffy.
Yeah. Then, well, funny we mentioned Tiffy. We had in-ring Tiffy time.
Yeah, that was fun. Yeah.
She plays the character really well, and it's
just a hard character to watch.
I can't say what I was going to say because we've got to have certain limits on what we can say. But fuck me, her voice did my tree in.
Yeah, the over the top Barbie sort of style gimmick's a little bit close to the knuckle for me. I can work with it for a little while, but
she went overboard with the sweet to the point that I felt like I might get diabetes.
Yeah,
So,
and
but
there's a little bit too overboardy with Screechy as well. That was a little bit like, oh, come on, we don't need quite as much as that. But fair play, I get it.
yeah, but yeah, I mean, Tiffy's running her mouth basically until Nia Jax, the
Comes
immovable
out and
object.
runs hers a little bit.
No, no, not the immovable object. She's the irresistible force. That's Nia Jax. Sorry, wrong nickname.
Who's the immovable object?
I don't know. I might have to think about that one, but never mind. Yeah, so Jax is basically saying, "Yeah, you're going to give me my title back, or I'm going to kick 7 bells of shit out of you."
To which Tiffy didn't really respond, but Bailey
I
did.
don't think I was going to say I don't think she really had time to respond realistically, because we had Bailey who took great pleasure in calling them both stupid, which yeah, I'm not going to lie, my personal stock in Bailey went up just with that part of that promo alone.
I am gonna pull up. So I've just had a quick Google about the irresistible force, and we have just managed to mistake Nia Jax for Andre the Giant.
I
Not much difference.
dare you to say that to her face.
Yeah, I'm not that stupid. But yeah, carry on. Sorry, mate.
But yeah, no. So Bailey walks out, calls them both stupid. Which yeah, I mean, I think she makes completely valid points.
She does.
I don't need to explain. Don't need to explain why Tiffany Stratton is coming across as stupid.
Nope.
Um,
And Nia being led astray by Tiffany just, yeah,
yeah,
makes her look stupid.
Stupid is as stupid does.
Exactly.
But yeah, Bailey throwing her hat in the ring for the title shot. And then
Which is a valid shout because she was the champion before Nia held it. So after beating EI Sky at WrestleMania for it.
Yeah. And then we've got Naomi and Bianca Belair coming out, the current women's tag champs.
Naomi was pissed
their claim
for the fact that she had Nia pretty much beat until Tiffy came and cashed in. So
I love the fact that for the most part, Bianca Belair managed to insert us. She came out, to my view, she came out in support of Naomi.
yeah, as the tag champion with a tag team mate, and then got into a match for a number one contender
without saying a word.
Yes.
She didn't say anything. Although, in fairness, Nia tried having starting some beef with Belair, and yeah, it just breaks out into a brawl where we've got Nick Aldis who comes out. Right, okay, fair play.
You've all got a stake to a claim. Go and fight it out, and the winner can have their shot.
So yeah, we had another instant decision by SmackDown GM Nick Aldis.
And that literally was the next match.
We put them all into a fatal 4-way right now. Where it basically turned into
another brawl.
I mean,
and all on Nia Jax's occasion, to be fair.
Yeah, Nia Jax got, well, in fairness, it happens every time we've got a bigger superstar in the ring, is that it makes sense to get rid of the biggest threat first.
Yeah.
Which they tried to do.
But then they Bailey felt a little bit like a spare part in this sometimes because you had the tag champions in there, Bailey and Nia Jax. And at one point, there was always a 3-on-1.
In fairness, this match fell really flat for me. And it's sort of the same thing that we said about the NXT Fatal 4-Way, is that it could have quite easily been a triple threat and been a lot more competitive. And in this case, it was Bianca Belair that just didn't seem to make any impact. Because she got you've got Nia ducks outside, drags Belair outside with her.
Yeah.
After that, you don't really see much. You don't. I'm not going to sit here and say that you didn't see anything from Belair.
It wasn't a huge amount, and there was no highlights from her time in that match. There's no one point that stands out for me, apart from maybe later on in the match where she hit Naomi with her hair on accident. That was really a.
How has that not been designated a weapon yet? Considering she,
It is a lot of hair, man, and it's huge.
I mean, it's all extensions. I
But all the
refuse to
same.
believe she's got that much hair.
I mean, it's possible, but yeah, no. But yeah, it's got to be heavy.
I mean,
And
it's
her.
just going to be the density of it, really, isn't it? It's
Especially
not
as it's all
necessarily
wrapped
the
up as
weight.
well.
I was going to say that thing she could probably. I mean, it'd hurt like fuck, but she could probably fucking tow a car with it. Wrap it round the front
Probably
bumper.
break
and
someone's
like,
kneecaps if she used it as a baseball bat. It's long enough.
Yeah, this is it. But how is it not been classed as a weapon? I mean, I can only assume it's because it is attached to her.
I mean,
But I've often thought this is she often resorts to using it as a weapon. Which, do you know what? I'd probably do exactly the same in her position.
if
But
she can use it as a weapon, it should be classed as a weapon. So therefore, she shouldn't be able to get away with it. But then I suppose that works a little bit with a gimmick. It's a little bit of a. It's the same as having a low blow, I suppose. Hair whip will hurt, will take your eye off the game for a second, especially if you get whipped with that thing.
yeah, difference is that low blows are normally done where the ref can't see them.
Yeah.
Belair doesn't give a shit who sees it if it fucking whips somebody with that hair. But yeah, digressing from that, we had a small showing from Candice LeRae running interference outside, but
Yeah,
really
well, she
ignorable.
pulled the hair of Bianca Belair, didn't she? Just to kind of
Sort of
put her off, really, wouldn't it?
place. Well, it was Candice LeRae that held the hair. Bianca Belair yanks it back and ends up smacking Naomi in the stomach for it, but ended up Bayley getting the win.
Yeah.
So Bayley is number one contender for the Women's World Championship, which
Is next week.
I mean, yeah.
So
Um,
we don't have to wait too long for that.
No, it's we're getting the action thick and fast. Then we go into a promo with
Cody and Jimmy Uso.
Cody Rhodes, Jimmy Uso, just sort of reaffirming before the main event, which it is what it is.
For Cody to leave and Carmelo Hayes to come in talking his normal useless crap.
Yeah, and Jimmy Uso basically putting him in his place, ending it with a yeet.
Yeet. Oh, that is so over right now. It's unreal.
Oh, 100%.
Like the fact that at the end of house shows you see him and he's stood in the middle and he's got like a couple of people and they're all doing it and the entire stadium is just moving. It's brilliant.
Let's face it, it's always the simple bits. I mean, Daniel Bryan with the yes movement.
Yeah.
And most of them are accidental. I mean, a yeet is not an accidental thing. That is 100% intentional. But
Oh yeah, that was intended and it worked. It worked. But sometimes accidental is the best. I mean, look at the people's elbow. That was just The Rock trying to get someone to break character and he's been using it for 20 odd years since, so it works.
Yeah. But next up on the card was a promo basically discussing something we've already said, which was Bayley's title shot coming up on next week's SmackDown.
And the fact that Tiffy's never beaten Bayley, which suggests we could either have an upset or a title change again. I don't think they'll take it off her too soon, though. It seems a bit of a waste of a cash in to let her have it for 2 weeks and then take it off her.
In fairness, let's look at Kofi Kingston's WWE Championship reign. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
I forget his name.
What, the person
who was in the Rumble for precisely about 3 seconds?
Or wasn't it Santino Morelli?
Santino Morella. Why did I kept wanting to say Alberto Del Rio, but it's not.
No, yeah, he came running down, didn't he? Went through the rope and someone clotheslined him. Was it Kane that clotheslined him? Like 3 seconds
Kane
later,
basically took him straight out, and
yeah,
he's
off you
out on the
fuck.
outside of the outside of the ring, going, "I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready." Oh, what
With
comedic value
with
Santino
there only
Marella
being
actually
3 weeks left to the Royal Rumble, I wonder how Kofi will escape elimination this year. That's the one thing that
had.
happens every year. You get a
It has
Kofi
become a
one.
yearly tradition.
It
Kofi
has.
Kofi has never won. To my knowledge, Kofi has never won the Royal Rumble, but he always features in it because he always comes up with a rather interesting way of being able to save himself from
My
elimination. We've
favourite
seen
one
him
was him
pogo on
bunny hopping the chair.
pogo hop in the chair. We've seen him parkouring across the
Barriers,
against the guardrail. Um, we've seen him
handstand
hop.
walking.
We've seen him hop on one leg, handstand walking,
Didn't
because
Big
as
E
we all
catch him
know,
the one year as well?
yeah, doesn't have that option there anymore. But
Nope.
then we got to the main event of the evening, the tag team match made earlier in the night between Cody Rhodes and Jimmy Uso,
With
and
Tama Tonga and Jacob Fatu.
100%.
It was interesting to see Fatu cut like a slight promo as they came out of the locker room before they went on to talk a little bit more about the Royal Rumble with their next sort of production credits and the fact
Yeah,
that we've only got 22 days left until the Royal Rumble.
yeah,
So
this is true. It,
can't
it
wait.
it helped build sort of Fatu's character a little bit, which means that they may be looking at separating him from the bloodline a little bit.
Or maybe just popping them as a tag team themselves, just Tama Tonga and Jacob Fatu. They seem reasonably strong as a
They
duo.
are
And they've
as
wrestled
as a
as a
duo.
duo before together, haven't they? So
As a duo, they work really well together. It's
Tama Tonga's quirky.
that is one way. That is sort of one way of putting it, I suppose. But yeah, what are we saying about the main event? What were your takeaways from it?
I didn't make many notes for the main event because I got too engrossed in watching it. I actually really enjoyed it. It was nice for me personally to finally get an opportunity to watch Tama Tonga and Jacob Fatu wrestle properly. For me, that was the first. I've only really seen clips for the last sort of couple of months,
Yeah,
rather than having access to the network and YouTube and stuff like that. So I've not really been able to watch a lot of it. Mainly been through social media. So it's the first full match of theirs that I've got to watch, and I did really enjoy it. I will say though that I was a little bit miffed by having Kevin Owens out again. Kevin Owens this episode of SmackDown felt a little bit like Ava did on NXT this week. Every time you
um,
saw Cody, you saw Kevin, and I think it might start to ruin the story eventually if they keep pushing it as hard as they are with him being attached at the hip with them. But we've only got a couple of weeks left to wait until they fight it out for that championship. So
yeah, I'm inclined to agree with you. I think it took away some valuable sort of prove yourself time for Tonga and Fatu. I mean, Jimmy Uso and Cody Rhodes, they're established. We know what to expect when they're in
Jimmy
the ring.
Uso's one half of the most decorated tag team of all time, isn't
Yeah,
it? I'm pretty
this is
sure
it.
they are now. So it's one of those like he's definitely established. Cody Rhodes wouldn't be wearing the strap he is if he wasn't. And he's had some brilliant feuds with Roman over the last few years, building his character and building Roman's at the same time. So yeah, this is definitely for Tama Tonga and Jacob Fatu, and the fact they went over was nice in a way, but probably not the
I would
best
have
way to do it.
I would have liked to have seen them wrestle to a finish with
Hmm.
Rhodes and Jimmy Uso, rather than it felt repetitive having Kevin Owens come out again,
The
Cody Rhodes run off to
distraction
face him, and
again.
then Jimmy Uso just left to fend for himself. I did feel for Jimmy. I'm not going to lie. I feel like that
Fatu's an
may
animal. But
they
I
don't
loved
call
it.
him the Samoan. They don't call him the Samoan werewolf for no reason. Let's face it.
No, absolutely loved it. It was a great match.
But overall, SmackDown, first one I've watched in a very long time, and I feel like you were very much the same. Any overall thoughts?
If I was to put it into a comparison between the other two weekly shows this week, SmackDown's probably the second out of the three. I think Raw was the best one this week. SmackDown was definitely in the middle there. NXT was by hands down the worst programming this week. Well, that's it from me.
And from me too. Thank you all for watching.
Remember, if you've enjoyed this episode and want to be notified when another one goes live,
you can click subscribe and click the notification bell to get notified every time we upload.
Remember, like the video and leave any feedback you have in the comments.
And we'll see you next time on Finishers and Factions.
Goodbye.